Let's see. This thing's on. Is it working? Let's see. Let's see. 1 second. 1 second. We're gonna get this thing popping. 1 second. Okay. Okay. We good? Okay. We no. Mm, 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 mm. All right. All right. All right. We are here. We are here. So, YouTube. What's good, y'all? You already know the name, man. It's Pays and Plays Podcast here. And this is the first time I'm doing a YouTube live stream. Hold on, let me cut this because I'm hearing myself now. YouTube. Okay, because I am hearing myself. Okay. Because I got like one screen here and I got one screen there. So I'm trying to like make sure like it's straight. And it's a little bit of a delay, but it is streaming. So that is A-okay. But anyway, man, this is Pays and Plays podcast here. First official YouTube live stream. Never done this before. But we did this last year with the first lines reactions of 2024. The schedules have already been dropped as far as currently 8:35 Eastern Standard Time. So the schedules have been dropped. We're gonna go right into the link I'm gonna share you my page in a minute, correction, and then we're gonna go break down odds by odds. I mean, we're obviously aware of certain games that have went down because I mean, they hit you with the sneak peeks. So we're gonna talk about all of them. What I'm gonna do is share my screen. Oh, and before this is entering year three doing this on YouTube. Year four in general, if he was messing with me when I was just doing podcasting only audio. If you've been on this channel, man, you had some winners. I don't care if it's 1 win, 2 wins, 3 wins. You at least had 1 win on this channel. And this channel is an up and coming channel, man. Really try to put in more work into it. This year, I'm going to give you guys a little bit more excitement, a little bit more spice into what we're going to be doing. Football, the last 3 years, bro, we've been hot. You know, I think the last 2 years combined almost about close to 100 wins, maybe about 50 something losses. But I mean, I don't know. That's just off the top of my head, bro. But we've been slanging. So we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna share my screen, and then we're gonna get right into it. So let's see. Yeah, that's actually how I want it. That's actually how I want it. Okay. 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 So we're gonna go right. So I use FanDuel. I think you guys do know that. I will say FanDuel has been pretty impressive. Like I said, I see myself just to make sure I'm good, but I'm on mute. So you guys are hearing me, but I'm not hearing myself on YouTube. So let's go right to it. All right, first game. I'm looking at it right here. Dallas Cowgirls, Philadelphia Eagles. When I saw this line, I think they broke the news yesterday. It was 7. Going towards Philly now is -6.5. Cowboys +6.5. Money line +265. Over under 46.5. First initial thought looking at this and breaking this down too, because I am going to break down each team all season to a degree when I'm breaking down these games. So Dallas Cowboys, I mean, they had an okay drive. They drive, I think you give me a grade, I give it a B plus grade. They got offensive linemen what they needed. They got some studs on defensive side. Actually, not too shabby. Couple receivers here and there. Obviously, they got Pickens in a trade. Uh, thought that was pretty good. Philly, we know they drive good. They are defending champs too. We know they drive well. I mean, they had a hell of a drive. Over under 46 and a half. My initial thought, I would lean towards the over. If you think the Cowgirls make it a game, it goes over. If you take minus 6.5 with Philly, you pretty much thinking that, the under is going to hit 46 and a half. It's getting juiced over towards the 46 and a half. So it's getting juiced. So this is of course first initial line, so it's gonna happen. And if you have already been familiar with me doing this before, you can see where the lines change. So initial thought, if it goes back to 7, Cowboys to cover, Philly to win, but I do like the 46 and a half over. I will admit that. All right, next one. Okay, okay, okay. So we got Kansas City. Okay, Kansas City Chargers. I think this is the what game is this? I think this is the game in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. So minus 2.5 favorites for Kansas City, over under 44 and a half. I mean, the Chiefs, they lost the Super Bowl, right? And that's my thing. When you lose Super Bowls, there's always been that case, right, where the team just don't show up. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. And but this Chiefs team, I mean, I think they're going to be hungry. I know history is kind of against them when it comes to this statistic, but we're talking about the first initial lines. I do like Chargers plus 2.5. And people are going to say, well, why do you like that number and it's so close? Because yeah, a field goal, if it's a 20 to 20 game and Kansas City scores, that's 23-20, they win. But I mean, Kansas City for some reason don't cover these weird numbers. I believe there were 2.5 last matchup they had when they were at Arrowhead, and they just won that game. I mean, I think they won by 2. I believe that game was 2.5, if I'm not mistaken as well. So Coach Harbaugh, he can coach well against Andy Reid. I mean, I have to give him that. The first 2 games, it could have been easily LA Chargers to win, but they didn't. 44 and a half over under. I understand why it's lean towards the under because they're going to say the Chargers offense. This is everything on paper as we're talking about it though, but they're going to say the offense don't have that many weapons. They're going to say all these type of things, but they got good running backs. Look, you bring in Harris, which if you guys remember Harbaugh when he was at Michigan, he was trying to recruit him before he went to Alabama, right? I like the Amari Hampton draft pick from North Carolina. I think that's an excellent pick. So you got 2 running backs who can catch out the backfield. I like the other receiver they got in the draft too. McConkey is a beast, though, I will say. So that's the thing you do wonder. They're going to be a run first team, but when it comes to Jim Harbaugh systems, you don't need to have great receivers. You just need to have reliable receivers. And McConkey, he's definitely receiver one. But the thing with him is that it's durability issues with McConkey. I think that's my problem with him. But first initial thought though, I'll take Kansas City to win, Chargers to cover. If this gets juiced up to 3.5, I might have to take the Chargers. I'm not going to front on that. Okay. Next game, we got the New York Giants versus the Washington Commanders. Commanders minus 7-point favorites, over under 45 and a half. Okay. Knowing that the Giants have secondary problems, that's like the first red flag I see that it makes sense why it's 7. And I feel like it's going to be a lot of hype because everyone's going to hype up the Commanders. It was kind of sort of like Houston last year. Everybody was hyping up after what CJ Stroud has done. And granted, I got to give Houston their props, salute to them. They did make the playoffs, they did win the division, but they were lucky that the division was so trash. Commanders not in that situation. You got Jane Daniels coming in for his sophomore year. You're going to see how this turns out. Will he hit that rookie So I mean, well, he hit that sophomore slump like CJ Stroud did. Bryce Young kind of did too, and he woke up towards the end. So I think that's really the question. With the Giants, everyone knows, man. I talk about Brian Dayball as like one of the best offensive geniuses. I mean, you got Jameis Winston, Old Man Russ, and Jackson Dart as your quarterback. So I guess we're gonna really find out. And people are gonna say, why did Jackson Dart get drafted over Shador Sanders with the Giants? And I'm gonna tell you why I think he did. He came from an RPO top style system with Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss because I know everyone talks about the arm of Jackson Dart, but Dart can move around a little bit, and that's what Daniel Jones was able to do. And we've seen what he can do if he's healthy and right. We saw what Josh Allen can do under Brian Dayball. So, I mean, that's the bright future I can see with Jackson Dart. I can understand that's why they probably drafted him. Is he going to start this game? Probably not. We're probably talking about Jameis Winston. And at that point, give me the over 45 and a half. The reason why I say the over, because this guy's bound to throw a pick six, maybe two. And Jane Daniels is going to score, bro. Like this guy finds ways. Listen, and I haven't talked about them. Getting Debo Samuel for that team, that was a good thing. Getting Lamery Tunsil, I'm not a fan of Tunsil, but I can understand it when this young team has offensive line issues. So I get it. I think they're going to keep him for the remainder of his contract and then probably let him go. I like what they've done. Dan Quinn is a good coach. He is. I mean, this guy has experience. He coached the Super Bowl. So, I can see, Cliff Kingsbury, look, if they have another year on offense this great, he's going to go back to being a head coach. And, we know what the quarterback class is coming in next year. So just understand that one. So initial thought, though, I'm going to go Commanders to win and cover. But I would definitely be eyeing the over at 45 and a half. I could understand why it's low because we don't know about the Giants and how they would turn out. But from what the mindset of what might happen, I wouldn't be mad at it. If it goes down to 44 and a half, and 44 and 45 is kind of like key numbers. So, if you can get a 44 and a half, that would be good because it can easily be a 34-14 game. There you go, right? You got your over. So, that's kind of how I look at games when I'm looking at totals. If I'm taking the overs, that's how I'm looking at. Even when I'm taking that unders, that's kind of how I look at it. So, currently right now, though, this line is juiced towards the under at 45 and a half. Next game, okay. This one here, I'm already interested at looking at. You got the Carolina Panthers. Shout out to 704. Shout out to the second home. They're taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Duval. Shout out to Duval County. 2.5, Jacksonville. Who? I mean, the only reason why I can see this being 2.5 is because it's at Jacksonville. That's like my initial thought. We're also dealing with the two former expansion teams. So yeah, both of these teams were expansion teams the same year. So 2.5, money line plus 122 for the Panthers, over under 46 and a half. And you know what? If you give me a couple of dollars off rip, just off first reactions, I would take Carolina and the plus money. I mean, Bryce Young has looked like he might be the guy. It's crazy that I still wonder today, what did Rod Wade say to Bryce Young? What did he say to this guy to make this guy like change? Like, I know people don't pay attention to the last games of the year sometimes. I do. I was actually watching it. It was they played the Falcons. If people remember, the Falcons won. They get in because Tampa got swept by the Falcons. And I will say Michael Penix was good, and I'll talk about them when I see they match up the Falcons. But Bryce Young looked amazing, and the guys you give them, Leggett has a second year in belt. Thielen is still the locker room leadership guy, which you still like for a veteran receiver. They got that new receiver from Arizona. Is it like McMillan? Tall. I mean, this is something that Carolina isn't usually used to doing. They're usually speedster guys. these guys now are getting 6'4", 6'5" guys that can run. And I mean, Adam Thielen as a number three guy, if he is a number three guy, great route runner. Come on now, I love it. I love the running backs they got. I mean, listen, Carolina paid money for the offensive line. Now the defense we'll have to worry about and see. They played kind of better in the second half, but when you don't have Dwayne Brown there, that was kind of a thing. So we'll see how he comes back as they get their all-pro tackle back. I mean, I like the draft picks. I mean, I really do like what Carolina has done. Now on to the Jags. I mean, you get Travis Hunter. Of course, he's a two-way guy. I think the question is just going to be if how many snaps is he going to play both sides? Because you hear the Jags already, and even the GM has already mentioned that, hey, like, we're already talking to both coordinators. He's going to play both sides. But I guess we're just going to figure out how the snap ratio is going to be. Like, he's not going out there like he did in college and playing every game. Come on now. You know he's not playing every single snap like he used to. It's the NFL, man. You're gonna need a little bit of rest. But like I said, initial thought though, give me Carolina win and the cover. And on top of that, here's the thing too. Both coaches came from Tampa, and they were both offensive coordinators. So, you got Canales as the guy, and then you had a new head coach. I forgot the name top of his head. I ain't gonna lie, but he's the successor. So this will be an interesting matchup. But first initial thought, though, give me Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. This over under at 46.5. I get it, but I will lean under only for Jacksonville's sake. Not for Carolina more so. It's more for Jacksonville. I will lean towards the under. All right. All right. So, okay. 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 We got Pittsburgh Steelers at the New York Jets. Jets +3. Over under 39.5. Wow, that's low. Wow. Money line +132 for the Jets, -156 for the Steelers. Yeah, give me Jets to I like Jets +3. I like Jets +3. And I know it's Aaron Glenn coach debut. I get all of that. I get all of that, right? I like what Justin Fields, I like the pickup of Justin Fields. I like what they have done. Get some offensive linemen, get a couple of defensive guys, get a couple of running backs. I'm not mad at what the Jets have done this offseason. Pittsburgh, yeah, I don't know what they're doing, buddy. I mean, this offensive line is suspect. You got Caleb Johnson from the drive. I mean, not a bad running back. You got, DK Metcalf through trade, but you traded away George Perkins. And it's crazy. The main thing I haven't even talked about yet is who's playing quarterback? Who is playing quarterback? Is it going to be Mason Rudolph, Will Howard? We keep hearing Aaron Rodgers, but like if that was the case, Aaron Rodgers already been signed, right? Because some of these teams are already in minicamp. He would have been signed already. So it, it's kind of like this situation with Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. It's kind of like, how you got an ex-girlfriend or an ex, anybody know what I'm talking about? And it's like you guys still talk and there's like some mutual feeling still, but then it's still stagnant and it's still like it's not really going nowhere, right? There's a reason why they say you're ex for a reason. It's not really going nowhere. And as of right now, I haven't seen this situation go anywhere as far as progression. I keep hearing just Aaron Rodgers where they're playing. Listen, the Steelers need to treat it like your options. You don't need to be waiting for other options when there's options there. Okay. So waiting for Aaron Rodgers, who, I get it, bro. He's a hipster. He's a California guy. I get all of that. But like, this is like a Brett Favre situation all over again. And as a Packer fan and Rodgers being a former Packer, I'm so glad that's like way past us, bro, because we would have been stuck for years stuck on this. But I like the Jets to win the cover. It's just the quarterback problem for me with the Steelers. I know Steelers have a good defense. I know that. And I can see why this 39 and a half under over total makes sense. Like, I understand why it's 39 and a half, but I gotta go to Jets to win the cover, bro. I think Aaron Glenn will show out for this game as a coach. Next game, we got the Las Vegas Raiders versus the New England Patriots. 2.5 is the Patriots favorite at home, over under 43 and a half. Raiders going from Las Vegas. Give me New England to win the cover, initial thought. I think this new Drake May is the truth. There's games he won by himself. I think that game against the Titans, they lost, and bro, he did damn near everything himself in order for him to win that game, but they lost. Stephon Diggs is there. Mike Vrabel. I mean, listen, this both coach. It's going to be a debut coaches for both of them, right? Pete Carroll at the Raiders. You got Mike Vrabel at the Patriots. Like I said, initial thought, the Patriots got Will Campbell. I do like that they got an offensive lineman. But then also, I'm just now thinking about it now. And the more I keep thinking about it, the fact that you got to worry about Max Crosby. Well, he plays more on the left side, but he'll be more on the right tackle side. So it may not affect them that much. But I mean, still, this presence is going to be felt. Over under 43 and a half. I would lean under. This seems I can understand why this number is juiced down to what it is. It makes sense because it's gonna be in Foxborough, and then the Raiders traveling. And please don't tell me traveling fatigue does not matter. It does, bro. I think the catch is though when you are traveling out west to east, it's usually quicker because of like the altitude and all that is like usually different. While the other way around is different. I know it's crazy. I'm saying this, and the more I keep thinking about it, more I'm not touching this game because now I realize Pete Carroll was one of those guys who does travel from the West Coast and he can go to the East Coast and beat you. And that is what he does do. So, but initial thought, like I will say, -2.5 New England. I'm not mad at it, but the under at 43 and a half, I mean, I think that does make sense though. 43 and a half makes sense. If it goes up to 44, 45 anytime soon, I don't see why you take an under in that one. I wouldn't nudge my nose at that. All right, next game we got the Arizona. Oh, okay. Arizona Cardinals versus New Orleans Saints. Magnolia. All right, so we obviously know about Derek Carr. He retired, medically retired because of injuries and all that. We get it. But this is when I thought you should have got Shador Sanders. If I understand retirements like that aren't planned, but like you drafted Tyler Slaw, and I don't think he's good. That's just my honest opinion, bro. There's a reason why when you transfer to like 4 or 5 different schools, like it makes somewhat of a reason why. And like this guy isn't just good. He's a career backup to me. And some second round picks are career backups, but you know, Spencer Rattler, I mean, bro, Jacob Haney, I don't know about that one. But then yet again, I'm looking at Arizona. How are there 4.5 points to anybody favorite? I, I mean, Arizona's not that great either. So I'm kind of confused. Are they saying this because Kyler Murray is Kyler Murray in the first half of the season? Maybe so, but damn, like, really? Really? 4.5? And I can understand why it's juiced towards New Orleans because I mean, bro, what the? Yeah, this Cardinals team is confusing me already off this line because I don't understand it. But then I'm just like, it's like either you take them or you die with it because there's no way I'm taking New Orleans, not even to win. But 4.5, I mean, Jesus, bro. Like, what I like about Arizona, Gannon has went all in on the defense in the drive, and I like the players he got. Okay. Able to get Will Johnson, who was a top 10 projected pick. You got him in the second round. I know there was some injury concerns and things like that. So that's probably why, he slipped. But You got him at, I mean, that's hella value at pick 47. And he was supposed to be a top 10 pick. So that's hella value. And this Arizona Cardinals team has gotten better, right? They were close to winning the division until Seattle swept them, and then they just started losing games. But 4.5 to anybody is crazy. Over under 41 and a half. What, you expect Arizona's drop all the points? Is that what I'm assuming? I, I mean, I would lean towards under. I know 41 and a half is a low number, but I would initially lean towards the under in that one. All righty, next game. Okay, 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 okay. I like this one here. You got the Cincinnati Bengals visiting the dog pound, Cleveland Browns. Browns plus 5.5 point underdogs. Money line plus 198, over under 45 and a half. And if you know me, I love fading Cincinnati the first month of the year. I told you guys last year to take New England to cover. They actually won the game outright too. So yeah, this Bengals team, I'm gonna talk about both teams because they're both interested in that what they done this offseason. The Bengals, we're starting with them. You drafted what's his name? Shamar Stewart. I don't know why you drafted this guy. This guy only had 1.5 sacks. I think 4 sacks as a whole total college career. So, and this is a pass heavy league. I don't know why you're not thinking about getting. Listen, you could have got James Pierce Jr., the guy from Tennessee who was a projected #1 overall pick. You could have got him, and I would have been like, well, that's not a bad pick. But this Cincinnati team is a joke. I'm not mad at Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Get your bag, man. Get your money. I'm all about that. Get your money. But this organization is cheap. There's a reason why you got Henderson that's trying to leave. There's a reason why, like, this team very well. I'm thinking about the Browns, and we know there's uncertainty, but my initial thought, I would not be surprised if the Browns win this game. But my bold prediction, I will say, I think the Bengals could be the bottom team in the AFC North. And that's crazy for me to say that with Joe Burrow on his team, but this defense just isn't right. And it's the thing I keep saying for the last, this is going on year 3. If the Bengals start anywhere from 0 to 1 to 2, anything under 500 the first half of the year or the first month of the season, I don't know why Zach Taylor should be a head coach at that point. Because this is ever since the Super Bowl year, and you can argue the year they went to the Super Bowl, they started off slow as well. This is a continuing pattern, and when you're in that division, and they play some tough teams. They play the NFC North. I mean, they played some teams this year, and that's just how it goes. Cleveland, on the other end, the drafting 2 quarterbacks. I mean, getting Shador Sanders in the 5th round was wild to me. If you would have told me Shador Sanders would have been a 5th round pick, a day 3 pick, I would have laughed at you. Now, day 2 pick was a possibility for sure. I wasn't the ones that all said, "Oh, Shador's 1st round pick." I believe he could have been a 1st round pick. It's just the way this draft has gone. We've seen quarterbacks that's like ranked as far as these guys mock drafts, top 3, top 4 quarterbacks. Sometimes at third, fourth quarterbacks in the 4th, 5th round. So yeah, but I like the Mason Graham pickup they got in the drive. I like that they were able to get the future pick from Jacksonville. I think this is the question you have to think about them long term is them not picking up Travis Hunter going to hurt him. And I know people are going to be like, what do you mean? Well, if you guys remember from over a decade ago at this time, that Julio Jones was able to get picked up by the Browns, and Atlanta jumped from like the late 20 picks, jumped up to that pick and got Julio Jones. And the Browns are still, if you ask me, trying to recover off that because I think they ended up getting Justin Gilbert and Johnny Manziel with those 2 picks, and you got 2 busts as 1st round picks. So that tells you about this organization. Joe Flacco is probably the projected starter because he's already been under Kevin Stefanski's system, and I can understand it, but I know we're hearing reports about Shador Sanders has been performing well, and it's not just a favoritism. This actually regular reporters that's watching them day in day out. I know it was rookie mini camp, and now there are until the real mini camp, but he's been the hot commodity as far as the name. And also the thing is, if Shador Sanders does get the start, Shador will actually be able to have three running backs, right? If we're talking about, is it Jeremy Ford still there? Then you got Quanton Jenkins. I know I said that so wrong from Ohio State, and then you got the running back from Tennessee. So you got three running backs. Judy is one of the best to me in this game right now, the best route running receiver. And if I honestly listen, I think this could be a Pro Bowl year for Jared Judy. I know that's maybe a bold prediction, but I think it could be. If the offense is somewhat right with whoever's at quarterback, if it's Flacco, you know he's going to throw a 30, 40-yard bomb. If Judy's open, he's going to catch it. Even if it's Shador Sanders on the slack, because, Shador is very accurate. He may not have the deep arm like that, but he is accurate. So you got to give him that. And I mean, when he is somewhat on a run throwing, he has a decent amount of arm strength. So well, we'll see though. We'll see. Over under 45 and a half. I will lean towards under only because I have a feeling that one of these teams gonna get blow out. But initial thought though, 5.5 Cleveland Browns is juiced up to Cincinnati. If it goes up to 6.5, 7, yeah, I'm beyond that. And I actually may be on the money line for the Cleveland Browns too, because I can't trust this Bengals team. Any other year I would say yeah, but this one this might be it for them. All right. Miami Dolphins at the Indianapolis Colts, Lucas Oil Field, and -1.5. Indianapolis Colts, 45.5 over under. Listen, money line, my initial thought I would say Miami Dolphins. It's either Tua or it's AR, bro. And that's kind of the situation, man. The Colts, I like the Tyler Warren pick. I like it. I like the tight end, but the problem is I don't know about Anthony Richardson. I still question it from years ago when he decided to declare himself for the drive. I had questions then. He was a sophomore redshirt. Everyone only brags about it because of that play against Utah when he did that fake quarterback throw and then he sneaked it in. Then everyone raved about him. I still don't see what makes people thought he was this good. I thought he should have stayed to junior year. I mean, you look at some of the sets that Florida has been trying to do now, I think he would have helped out 10 times better and it would help the draft stock. But I'm going with Miami, and I understand why it's juiced to the spread. But the -104 on the money line, that's not bad. But you know me, I want that plus money. But don't be surprised if this becomes a pick 'em, or if by the time it goes to week one kickoff, Miami's the favorite because I don't see how the Colts are a favorite to Miami when they both honestly deal with the same issues. However, though, I think Miami is going to be able to run the ball this year. And people are going to say, what? Hell no, but hear me out. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they still got Mozart. You know, David Ainge wasn't bad. And don't forget, they got Ollie Gordon, which I know last year in college he was not the best. He had a lot of personal problems, and then we all know about the DUI. And this guy was looking like, besides Ashton Gentry, probably the number two running back, maybe a first round pick running back. Until obviously we saw how the season went out. But in this Shanahan running scheme that Mike McDaniel has, I think it would be perfect for him. I really think it will be perfect if he gets the opportunity. But I do like David Anchin. He can run, and Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. The more who the hell is stopping those two for the Colts secondary wise? Kenny Moore. I like Kenny Moore, but Kenny Moore is a slot guy. He's not an outside corner. So my initial thought would be Miami to take the win and the cover. Take the money line. If you want to take the spread, sure. But this is when I say take the money line, bro. It just makes more sense to me at that point. Next game. Okay. Speaking of rivals, so it's crazy that a lot of these for week one games are division rivals, right? There's a couple other games, of course, but you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Atlanta. Okay, you got the Falcons as a plus 1.5 point underdog, over under 48 and a half. And I can understand why, because points will be scored. I do think 48 and a half is a little too high. So you have to wonder if this creeps up to around 50, I might have to take the under. That's just how you got to look at it. You got to look for value in certain spots. This Tampa game, though, so this is interesting to me because the Falcons swept them last year. I know we're talking last year, but a lot of this talk is going to be off paper and what I'm seeing off the number. So the fact that the Falcons are an underdog at home, I believe Michael Penix. I don't think Michael Penix played against them though. That's the catch. I think that's the catch. They know Kirk Cousins played both of those games. But I like what Michael Penix has done. I know he's a left-handed quarterback, but I mean I like what he was able to do when he's been playing. So I gotta salute him to that one. But 1.5 Tampa, you have to ask yourself for Baker, man. Like this guy is Baker's a dog. He is a dog. My question is really though, are you intimidated of this defense? And the answer is no. Not any other time, bro. Like this Buccaneers defense can get scored on. And I can see why that's why the over is juiced up the way it is because they know they can't stop. Secondary wise, this team is awful. I know everyone still raves about Antoine Winfield Jr. I know everyone still raves about him, but it's like, well, he's barely been playing the last couple years. I know they did pick up Shiloh Sanders, Deion's son. So they did pick him up as an undrafted rookie. And if he does contribute well in the special teams, I hope he does. I can see him getting an opportunity to at least play in some meaningful games. But I think the reason why I'm gonna take the Falcons too is because I know they got Emeka Ibuka as their first round pick receiver, Tampa Bay, but you need Godwin there with Evans. I know Evans is gonna do his thing, but you need Godwin there. And since there's some uncertainty with Godwin being able to play off rip, that makes me wonder. And the fact that the Falcons do play very well at home, my initial thought would be Falcons plus 108 to win. Please, guys, like the content, man. If you guys are commenting, let me see you guys. Probably not, but I mean, still though, man. Like, I want you guys to obviously when I'm done with the live, you guys can still watch it, but still, man, I'm so ready for football to come back. You guys don't understand that. You guys don't. Next game. Tennessee Titans going to Mile High to take on the Broncos. Broncos minus 7 point favorites, over under 41 and a half. Uh, rookie first start, Cam Ward on the road, Mile High. Elevation is going to be somewhat of a problem for Cam Ward. I will probably agree with that. So I'm going to go with Broncos to win. And it's Sean Payton too. So I'm going to go with Broncos to win and cover. Not a lot of science behind it off rip, but with this Titans team, I like what they could do, right? I like how the offensive line has been better. I think the Callahans are trying to figure this out now. So I'm not mad at the ideal of that. But you still got Cam Ward as a rookie, bro. First game. I mean, yeah, I don't know about this one. So my initial thought would be Denver minus 7, over under 41 and a half. I will lean towards the over because I got to think if Tennessee scores 17, hmm, if they score 17, that's kind of, I could see Denver dropping about 28, 30, anywhere between 28 to 31. So they'll be flirting around that total of 41 and a half. I like Bo Nix. I give him my respect for what he's done first year. And Sean Payton was all in on him, and I mean, it panned out. So you got to see how the success will continue to carry on with him. But like I said, Titans is a young team, and if you decide to pick this game off rip, I would probably tease this down. You guys know I love my teaser parlays. If I do parlays, I will be all on -7 with the teaser. Tease that down from if you pick -6 or 7 points, whatever, just tease it down from there. I wouldn't be mad at it. Next game we have, okay, the San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. 1.5 is the 49ers, over under 45.5. The money line isn't bad. And now people are asking me, what number, if I'm picking a favorite as far as money line, what line do I stop at where I'm like, uh-uh. I honestly say, once you hit about 150, you need to be kind of focusing more to the spread. -124, if you don't want to pick the spread at -1.5, I mean, I wouldn't nudge my nose at it. I actually like this game, but I actually like the 1.5 with the 49ers. I really do. I don't know how was the success with Sam Darnold trickle into the Seahawks. I have no knowledge of that because I'm not really a Sam Darnold guy. I will admit to it. I didn't think he was all that in Minnesota. I just thought he was lucky because he had good coaching. And obviously that's what got him a bag, right? Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's a good receiver. Now he's your number one. You got Cooper Cup. So that is kind of a concern. But Cooper Cup he's been battling injuries for the last ever since that Super Bowl win. He has not been right. But I would take the chance. 1.5, San Francisco 49ers. I mean, 1.5 is against the Seattle team that's trying to still figure stuff out, new quarterback, all of that. I will go with San Francisco to win in the cover. And shout out to the Bay. I met somebody that's from San Francisco not long ago, and he's a diehard 49ers fan. And I got to shout out to him, man, because he cool people. But I would definitely take the 49ers at -1.5. That's my first initial thought. Next game. Okay, okay, okay. We got the Detroit Lions. This is another division game I'm talking about. At the Green Bay Packers. Lions 1.5 point favorites. 49.5 is the over under. And they're going to talk about last season because of this. The games have hit over last year. So I can understand why they're thinking that. Well, this is going to be weird. My initial thought was going to be the under. And it's because with the Lions, they're dealing with a lot of changeover. Of course, MCDC is still there, but it's a lot of changeover. Aaron Glenn is gone and Johnson is gone. So Ben Johnson, yeah. So both your coordinators are gone. You got brand new coordinators. Calvin Shepard, I do respect him. He was at LSU as a linebacker. He was very productive and didn't have the best NFL career, but look where he's at. He's coaching. Then that guy is it Morton? I don't know his first name, but Morton, and he came from New Orleans, right? I know MCDC came from New Orleans as far as the coaching tree with Sean Payton. If this is the same guy that called plays last year with New Orleans, I don't know. That's just my thought, bro, with this team. I don't know because I mean that's how I look at it with the coordinating. If you didn't do all that well with New Orleans, I don't know about this one. I thought maybe Mark Brunell. It's crazy. I keep saying older names, but he wasn't a bad quarterback in this league. He's been a quarterback coach there. I thought, hey, maybe that would be the guy to be the coordinator. I thought it would be perfect, but it's not, I guess. And with the Packers, I mean, Matt LaFleur coming in, I know what to expect with him as a coach. But around top tier talent, good teams, he's been kind of a choke artist. All right, I'm a Packer fan, but I'm not biased. So don't try to draw me into that saying, "Oh, I'm picking up." I'm not biased, okay? Because if you're ready for this, is what I'm about to tell you. I'll take Lions -1.5. I mean, this is probably the lowest line you're going to get with the Lions as a favorite all year. -1.5 to me is I don't think I can. I don't think I even saw 3.5 like that last year alone. So getting that 1.5, I know it was on the road, but you're not playing Lambeau when it's frigid temperatures. You're playing it when it's still fall time. You could take advantage with it. With the Packers, on the other hand, I like the golden pick, Matthew Golden pick with the first round pick, right? I like it. We need receiver help. Somebody that's over the top. We need that. We got a lot of number two receivers. That's my problem. We don't have any go-to number one guys. We got all of these pretty much, like I said, number two, tier two level receivers. The defense hasn't been physical like that. Defense was okay, but I expect better. I mean, the Zaire Alexander situation isn't going to get any better for what it's looking like. So, initial thought though, like I said, Detroit Lions, give me the Lions at -1. I have to cover against my Packers. I know people are saying, and yes, I'm from Detroit. Okay. I know everyone's going to be like, oh, you're picking the Lions. Bro, I'm looking at this line right here. Okay. You are not going to see a 1.5. I don't think you're going to see 1.5 anytime other than the year, unless they are an underdog on the road. And their first half of the schedule is not easy. I checked the Lions schedule, okay? So don't act like they're going to be, blowing out teams like that. Like I don't expect them blowing out teams like they did last year. I know they're going to get some wins. I still see them as a Super Bowl contender, but I mean, they play a tougher schedule now. That's what happens when you start winning against better teams. That's how it happens. And people wonder how does the scheduling kind of works. Well, the Lions have one of the toughest schedules in a year, and the way it really is that they play a lot of playoff teams. That's really what it is because they are good. You're playing the AFC North, like I mentioned with Cincinnati. You're playing the NFC East. So you're playing against some teams now who they're actually good. So as far as people from Detroit still getting new to the scene of the Lions being good, this is what happens now when you are being good consistently. You're gonna have tougher schedules. So I guess we'll just see if this team really about it. The Packers in the same predicament, the Vikings in the same predicament, the Bears in the same predicament. All of that division has arguably maybe the toughest schedules in all of football. So I guess we're going to see what this division is made of, and especially within the division, because the Packers, outside of one win against Chicago, they got swept, and it's unacceptable. So if this team wants to be a title town team like their name, the Packers, they got to be able to at least split against the Lions and Vikings. They have to this year. There's really no choice. Next game, next game, next game. Okay, okay. Ooh, I like now this one I actually do like. I actually love it. You got the Houston Texans versus the Los Angeles Rams. It's going to be at SoFi in LA. You got the Rams -2.5, money line -146, over under 46.5. I agree with the under on the 46.5. But first initial thought, I'm going to have the Rams to win and cover. I, I mean, Sean McVay is a good coach. And when it comes to spreads, I will say if it's one guy, if it's a couple, listen, I picked them against the Eagles. I think they were +7 before kickoff. He covered it. All right. Stafford got his little 80 mil. I think he's satisfied. He wants to be in LA until he retires, like I'm assuming. I rave so much about this Rams team. I'm going to talk about Houston in a minute, but I rave so much about Jared Verse, about Frisk. They added more depth into that defense. I like with the Rams drafting, and you can tell when you look at Brad Holmes, the guy who's the GM at the Jags, you see how they think, and it all comes from being in LA. I mean, the drafting is it's pretty well when it comes to the Rams. Devontae Adams is there now too. Puka Nakua, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum isn't a bad RB2. If Higby is healthy for most of the season, they will be cool with the tight end spot. I mean, this team looks good on paper, and we are talking about teams on paper right now, obviously. Houston, CJ Stroud, we'll see how this goes because I mentioned about sophomore slumps, and he did have a sophomore slump. So I guess we're going to be wondering if he's going to improve year three. I don't see why not. They got a running game. Their defense is pretty good too. So this is why I understand why the 46 and a half is a valuable. I think that's value. 46 and a half, I think you should get that right now if you like the under. But I do take the Rams minus 2.5 because even though you got Stingley, I don't know who's gonna handle that other receiver. Because I'm assuming Stingley's gonna be on Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. I will say, you talk about route running, he's a good route runner, but we know about Devontae Adams. So that alone, those two together fused, I think the route run is going to be pretty elite when it comes to those guys. All right, next game, next game. Okay, so this is the Sunday night football game. I definitely saw this one. You got the Baltimore Ravens at Buffalo to take on the Bills. Bills minus 1.5 point favorites. Baltimore plus 104 on the money line. Over under 51 and a half. So they already think this is going to be a shootout. And this might be the largest total that I'm looking at as far as week one. Yeah, because you got a Sunday night, you got a Monday night football game after this, and that's it as far as week one. So we know how crazy that Ravens Bills game was in the playoffs. I don't see why Lamar doesn't try to get his revenge though. So I'm going with the Ravens plus 104. It's just the turnaround for the Bills defense is what I'm going to wonder because that secondary can get torched on. And I can see that's probably why on top of that, the over-under is at 51 and a half. We know Josh Allen is a beast. And yeah, this is the turnover for the Bills that I'm kind of uncertain on. We expect Milano to be back by that time. I like the pick they got from Kentucky, the Detroit kid at corner. I like the pick. But what Baltimore does every year, you just cannot get mad at it. Every year they draft well. They pick up guys from free agency, even if they're old as dirt. For some reason, they play a lot better over there. I like the Malachi Starks draft pick in the first round. I like you being able to get Mike Green, who was supposed to be a top 20 pick. You got him in the second round. So I like that you got Starks to pair up with Hamilton. And then you got Mike Green down there, David Ajabu. Y'all remember years ago, tore his ACL at the Michigan Pro Day. They still drafted him in the second round, and it worked out. So we know what this organization is all about when it comes to their drafting, their free agency. I like it. First result, though, I'm saying, though, I'm picking the Ravens to win and cover this game, though. Okay. Plus 104 on the money line. I wouldn't mind doing that. This total, though. This total being 51 and a half, juiced to the 120 to the over. I'm hoping this chucks up more. I'm hoping for like a 52, 53 and a half. And that's when you catch me under. This is a prime time game as well. And people familiar, prime time unders is usually a thing. And I think this first game of the year, too, I definitely think it can be a chess game. That's probably why I would lean towards the under 51 and a half, as well as Baltimore winning outright. Okay, we got Monday Night Football, week one, another division rival. So we got about four that I think I talked about off the top of my head. We got the Minnesota Vikings versus the Chicago Bears. The Bears over under 45 and a half. Bears being plus 1.5 point underdogs. I'm taking Bears to win and cover. Okay, I know it's Ben Johnson's first debut as a coach. I understand that. I don't know about JJ McCarthy though. I'm not hating on JJ. I just know he coming off of an injury, an ACL injury on top of that. So that's just really my initial thoughts with that. It being in Chicago, the Bears, they actually play pretty well at home, I will say, even with Caleb Williams. This is going to be his second year. he's going to have I'm gonna say an offensive guru, bro, because Ben Johnson did make some plays for Jared Goff, so I can imagine what he's gonna do with Caleb Williams because Caleb does have a little bit of elusiveness outside the pocket too. So I'm kind of wondering how this is gonna turn out. I like the Luther Burden pickup. You still got DJ Moore. You still got a Dunze. I like the Loveland pick at tight end. Ben Johnson's gonna use that tight end now. We know that, right? So defensively, I mean, they're not bad. They still got Sweat. If Sweat dominates you in the game, I mean, he changes games. So I'm going with the Bears to win and cover. I know the Vikings have Jettas. I know they got the weapons on offense. The defense is actually not bad either with Flores as your DC, but Ben Johnson didn't already know how to score on his defense. That's my initial thought too as well. So first game of the year, you giving me all this time to prep up and prepare. Yeah, give me Bears to win and cover. I know that's going to be an underdog. I'm going to wait though, because if this goes plus money, I don't see why not you take the Bears. I mean, right now they're minus 106, but I don't see 45 and a half was a total. That makes sense. I can see it being honestly, I can see it being like a 23-17 game. So it will be kind of flirt between that number. I will say that. All right. So that's week one. We're gonna start looking at the other games, the miscellaneous games they have, and we're gonna go from there. So let's see. Kansas City, you got Kansas City. Okay, minus one I have against Philly. Okay, I would nudge my nose at this one. I don't think it's a bad line, but like I said, it's course first reactions, and I mean minus 110 on the money line of Kansas City. You'll never see stuff like this. So if you see it, take it. If they become an underdog, take it. You already know that's my approach. If you see Kansas City, it's plus money. Anything Kansas City plus money, you're kind of a fool not to take it. I took it twice last year. They played San Fran, they won. They lost to Buffalo. We already knew if Josh Allen doesn't go for that fourth down and make that touchdown, we're probably talking about Kansas City win that game. So let's see what else we got. Okay, Minnesota. Okay, so I know Minnesota plays two games internationally. I'm assuming this is the international games. So you got 2.5 favorite against Pittsburgh. I mean, fuck the 2.5. The money line is not bad if you're gonna go with a favorite. Minus 126 with a minus 2.5 point line, you might as well take the 126. That's just my thoughts, broski. 141 and a half is the over and under. These international games tend to go over. I don't know why, but it also depends on the field, of course. They play Cleveland. Okay, so we're looking at +7 for Cleveland. Okay, okay. This is gonna go over, bro. 40.5, no way. Mm-mm. Ain't no way. Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way. What else? What else? I mean, y'all know me, bro. I'm gonna get to talk about some of these games, man. This is another international game, I believe. Broncos and Jets. Yeah, this is an international game. Broncos and Jets. I would lean towards the over, 41 and a half. Personal thought. Because like I said, these international games tend to go over, so I'll take the over on that one. Every time I click it, it keeps going to Super Bowl matchups. That's not what I want. Let's see. What else? What else? What else? Okay, so we got Rams, Jags. That's a London game. I can tell that off rip. That's a London game. Atlanta and Colts. I think that's in Germany. Yeah, that's in Germany. And then you got Washington and Miami. That's in Madrid, España, if I'm not mistaken. So that will be there. Okay, so Thanksgiving games though. We got a couple. Well, we got one right now. I don't know why the other one hasn't been updated with the Lions and Packers, because that is the other Thanksgiving game. But Chiefs, Cowboys. Hmm. I mean, well, it depends. Like I said, if the Cowboys start to suck, I see this going to possibly 7, 8. knowing Kansas City. If Kansas City's okay and Dallas is okay, I can see it being around. I honestly, I think maybe 2.5 if it matches up to that. But I always tell you guys with Kansas City, you see any number past 3, and I'm usually going the other way, which would be Dallas, for instance. Like if this number goes to like 8.5, if Dallas is kind of like iffy and Kansas City is still good, I will be taking Dallas because Kansas City will win the game. But like I always say, they just don't cover games. I don't ask me this. I almost feel like it's like Andy Reid charging the game for the Super Bowls and things like that he has won. That's just my honest initial thought. So the Lions have so like I said, Lions play Thanksgiving, but they're not posted on here. But the Bears play Philly, and I think that's Black Friday. So that's a Black Friday game. Okay, 6.5. This number is probably gonna go way past 6.5 if they're kind of like ass. I'm just gonna admit it. 45.5. That will go over because I think the Bears will find ways to score. If they're anywhere in the 20s, Philly can match that. I'm very sure on that. So it can be a 31-20 game, and there you go. The over it hits. So that's how I look at games. That's how I approach uh over unders and stuff. When people ask, that's kind of how I look at it. So then you got three games Christmas, and this will kind of wrap it up. You got the Cowboys and the Commanders, Lions, Vikings, Broncos, Chiefs. Looking at these numbers, mm, I will go under on the 50. Yeah, that I do agree on. I will go under on the 51.5. I do agree on that one. For some reason, that tells me it's going to be one of those games, bro. Now, if it was at AT&T Stadium, I will give Dallas all the. I would say that over might hit just because of that, but at this point, it's going to be cold, and I don't know about that. You don't even know where the teams are at around that time of the year in December because some teams have already packed their bags. That's just how that kind of goes, bro. I always say if you are interested in looking at lines and stuff, and if you really want to look into the second half really good, after Thanksgiving to me is when you know teams are going to be serious, who's for real and who's not. And I'm gonna just skim up and down real quick for the week 1 lines. I'm gonna do something different this year too. I'm gonna give you guys survivor picks. And people are saying, what is a survivor pick? Simply, you pick one team each week that you think will, cover the spread. But the thing is, you can't use them no more after once. So only once. 32 teams, so they will be picked once. Skimming from what I'm looking at, and I know how the public might be thinking already from what I'm looking at. I see two that people will be say, "Oh hell yeah, give me that." So I'm gonna tell you what I see. I would see people picking Broncos -7. I will see that one. I can definitely see that. And I mean, typical, but giant. I mean, the Commanders game -7. I can see those being the survivor picks everyone's gonna pick off rip. But this is what I'm saying though. I'm not mad at the -7 number, but just tease the number down. Just put them in a two. You do a two-team teaser, you might be okay, buddy. And maybe tease it up with an underdog. So let's say if you do the two -7s and you tease, let's say Cleveland, you tease them up 11.5, 12.5 points. I won't be mad at that. You tease up Carolina, it can be 6, 7. You get either 8.5, 9.5. Yeah, I would nudge my nose on a lot of this stuff. If you want to take Philly in the teaser, if you think they win, take them in the teaser. I'm not mad at that. Okay, so like I said, I will probably plan on doing survivor picks, throughout the season to kind of make things interesting for you guys. So that's that. And let me see. I'm about to go back to the screen. Let's go back. Okay, so before I wrap this up, because this was a good little conversation thing to just have some thoughts and look at some of these games and make you think, break down analogies, bro. Because listen, man, the football game is a game of numbers, and people always, I've had close family members, I had people who really know I'm into it. They always ask me, what's the right word, should I say? How do you maintain composure when you lose a bet? Because you're not always going to win. That's rule number one. You're going to learn how to lose before you learn how to win in this industry. That's just the truth of it. It's all about being smart, looking at the lines, trusting your gut. That's the number one thing I do tell people. Trust your damn gut. If I'm telling you a team might lose and you think that team win, fuck what I'm saying. Take that team you think gonna win. That's really been my approach. And this is why even when the craziest wins have happened, it's kind of like, well, it's just a gut feeling. So that's my number one thing is look at those numbers, get the best number available. Okay. For instance, if you like Cowboys plus 6.5, well, you should have got that plus 7, but you should wait. If it continue to get juiced over, you'll be able to get it. If you like Philly 6.5, saying, you know what, between 6.5 and 7, they can win by 7 and I cover, take the number or tease it down. This is the suggestions I give you. Don't over parlay though, please. That's like the number one thing. Everyone keeps saying like, when I give you bets of the week, I'm not parlaying them. Now, if you want to parlay them, hey, be responsible. That's you. But the reason why this industry is eating so much is because damn near 500, yes, 500% of the casino wins in sports gambling has been what? Parlays. Okay? And if you're going to do a parlay, do not do anything over $100 and make it realistic. I don't 7, 8 legs, bro. Like that's unnecessary to me. You need to pick three. I say anywhere from 3 to 4. 4 is pushing it, but anywhere from 3 to 4, I would nudge my nose on that. So that's my thoughts on the parlays because everyone keeps saying, do I parlay? No, I don't parlay. Unless I give you a teaser parlay. And you guys know I do maybe what? Maybe 5, 6 teasers in a year. So that should tell you that's just to get my brain flowing, bro. Just to get these numbers and lines right. That's why I gave you ideas of what a teaser could be like for week one already, right? This is why I kind of give you why I'm thinking a survivor pick might be a thing I do this year. So, and the number one thing is too, like I said, about how I react to all of this stuff. When I played ball as a kid until like almost high school, I was always on losing teams, bro. Like I may not be the greatest player, but I was an okay player. But I could understand the frustration of losing. And I was so fucking used to it that when you start winning, you're like, shit, this is something different. And like you fuck with it. But when you lose a game, you can understand and accept the L and move on to the next game next week. And that's how I look at it, okay? There's times where it's rare. I had maybe 2, 3 bad weeks a whole entire season, but you know, even then I was like, okay, I messed up. You watch the game, recap, see what messed up, and that same Sunday night, I'm already looking at the next week numbers. We're already picking them. Okay, there's people who sub to this channel, they personally see me. Sunday night, we're already talking about these games. There's already bets made before everyone thinks about them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sometimes you need to get the number ahead of time. Okay. If you're really going to try to be doing this all year with football, or really any sport, but really football, because it's once a week these games happen with these teams. So you kind of know when the lines are. And like I said, if you see the line right away, Sunday night, Monday night, take it. Because once it hits Tuesday and that Monday night football game finish, there's going to be reactions from those games to those lines. Okay. So everyone knows me. My approach is still going to be the same. I'm going to be targeting underdogs, slight favorites. Okay. I don't think the regimen has been wrong when I've done that, right? So we won more than we lost. And to understand that, that's why I tell people if you're going to do parlays, don't always take a minus 400, 300 on a damn game, bro. I always tell you, like that's why I say like anywhere from 120 to I say 170, you're kind of pushing it. I'm not taking a minus 200 on a team. I'm not taking a minus 300. If you're going to take anywhere from minus 300, minus 350, you might as well take the underdog and blindly throw $100 on them. And you'll probably win the same amount that a spread would have been for the odds, right? So, that's kind of like my approach on it. And we've been winning. The regiment has not changed. I'm kind of give you an insight on how I think with this live. I done it last year, the same live last year. Well, it wasn't a live, but you get the point. And it was a success. I mean, because look what we did week one. Week one, if I'm not mistaken, we went 3-2. Only two bets I didn't win was Cleveland Browns on the money line, and I didn't win the over on the Dolphins Jags game. But New England covered against the Bengals. Miami had a push, so I didn't mention that. So I was really 3-2-1. I had a push with Miami. Philly, not Philly, correction. The Cardinals, they covered. And I picked Pittsburgh as an underdog against the Falcons. So 3-2-1 week one. You tell me how bad that was. We were counting money when I was done last time I checked. Uh not trying to be a bragger, man. Not because I don't want people to think that way, but I know it's not easy in this industry, bro. I mean, like the one thing I had to embrace, if anything, when you are talking about predictions with teams, some like listen, like I mentioned, I usually win more than I lose because I remember when I was on TikTok, I think what week was it? I forgot the week, but it's when they had I picked Washington to win, I picked Philly to win, and I had Seattle, but they lost to Buffalo. It was that week. It was all underdogs. I went 2 out of 1, but think about that, bro. I quadrupled my money with two underdogs that won outright. This is why I'm saying you make it more profit valuable with the underdogs. Okay. I'm not mad at the favorites. If you want to pick a favorite, but it needs to make sense. But anyway, when I did that video on TikTok the day before kickoff, oh, bro, when I tell you the comments were just crazy, like I was told I was a donation. I was told everything bad. I was losing every game. I hope every game you have lose for the sake of my parlay. So I guess I've been a parlay killer too. I mean, but this is why I tell you guys don't take parlays. But after that week, I realized things on there was just different with TikTok. Like I started getting more followers. I haven't been too active on there. I had somewhat abandoned it, but I'm trying to plan things right with that too. So that just tells you, man, like trust your gut. Fuck what people say, bro. I might get flagged for just doing that, but that's just my thoughts, bro. Like you trust your gut. When it comes to this industry, bro, it's not easy. It's not hard, but it's not easy though. But once you understand how it works, it's kind of like second nature, bro. And with that being said, with all these bets that I have won the last 2 years, and a lot of people will tell you whether I know them or don't know them, they usually hit. I believe we went about 60 some percent the last two years. You combine them, that's roughly damn near close to maybe 70%. So I'm gonna make this announcement here that I'm not giving you guys best bets no more freely on the internet. Okay. Best bets will be on Patreon starting September. I might be a little lenient for college football for you guys like the first couple weeks, but September when it comes to the foosball, NFL foosball, we will start doing all the best bets on Patreon. You guys been on here, so you guys know college basketball is my thing. If you follow me on Instagram, Paysandplays_podcast, you'll see me post the random stories. That's no longer gonna be a thing. That's gonna be on Patreon. And I'm gonna have the twist for that. Okay. It's not just gonna be a regular boring Patreon. It's gonna be something for people to really be entertained to. So that is the thing. And well, this concludes the first official live stream on YouTube breaking down opening lines for the NFL. And listen, guys, like what I said this the last 2 years, man, we really are trying to make this shit pop, bro. Because I mean, we've been winning. So I mean, why wouldn't we, right? Like, comment, subscribe, bro. This live will still be here when I'm done. So come on, guys. Show love to your boy. Be safe as always. And let's get this money out here. You already know, right?